The beginning of national anthems translated into English. France with Arise Children of the Fatherland, the day of glory has arrived. Wait, I thought Germany was the fatherland. Unity and justice and freedom for the German fatherland. Okay, so you guys both like that word. The Dutch start their anthem with I am of Germanic blood. Seems like kind of a weird thing to do, just name drop another country right in the beginning. Brothers of Italy, Italy has awoken. I like that. Yes, we love this country as it rises forth. Why does it sound like Norway's trying to reassure themselves? We love our country, yeah. Wait, UK, this is kind of awkward. Spain has no official lyrics? How does that work? National anthem has been played without words since 1978. It is also one of only 4 national anthems in the world, along with Bosnia, San Marino, and Kosovo with no official lyrics. Poland has not yet perished so long as we still live. Pretty much the best way to start this song from the Polish. I mean, they perish sometimes, but they do get revived. Greece with I recognize you by the fearsome sharpness of your sword. It's unlike some of these other ones I've been reading. Referring to Turkey, fear not, for the crimson banner that proudly ripples in the glorious dawn shall not fade. I'm going to just assume there's probably a lot here that is lost in translation. Or maybe in the case of Czechia, they're just lost in general. Countries which recognize Kosovo. Kosovo is right here next to Serbia. The green places recognize Kosovo, and all the red places do not, which it actually seems like this map is pretty even. Spain seems like the outlier in the west here. Why don't they recognize Kosovo? Oh, because Spain's dealing with their own issues with Catalonia and stuff. Can't throw rocks when you're living in a glass house. And here's the world map version of this same question. Again, still pretty divided. Some places unsurprising, like the US and Canada, as well as Australia and New Zealand, and then Japan and South Korea. But then things get confusing. Afghanistan recognizes Kosovo, and yet the Vatican does not. Why doesn't the Pope recognize him? Is this the most divisive topic right now and I didn't even know it? 52% of the United Nations member states recognize Kosovo, and 11 out of the G20 recognize them as well. In 2008, there were very few countries that recognized them. Then it peaked in 2017 and actually dipped down. Who switched sides? What's going on with Mexico and Nicaragua? They're not even like the right colors. Or do these places choose to vote by not really voting? It sounds like a lot of these regions have the same reason as Spain. They don't want to recognize Kosovo because of their own internal issues. Or maybe some just don't want to make Serbia mad. There is actually a part of Italy that is completely surrounded by Switzerland. Enclaves. Crazy because I'm actually in Switzerland right now. Can I find this place? How have we gone so long without seeing this? So it's obviously near the Swiss-Italian border on the other side of the mountains and just next to Milan. There's actually a lot of border gore going on right here. I didn't even recognize that. This actually looks like a super nice place to visit. Oh, I guess it is technically an enclave and an exclave. There's only about 2,000 people that live here. How exactly does this work? It formally became a part of the EU in 2020, but somehow it still has the tax rate as of the rest of Switzerland. Apparently, Mussolini himself renamed it to Italy to show exactly how Italian the exclave is. They also use the Swiss franc and not the euro. How does this all work? Apparently, really tiny exclaves like this are not super uncommon. This is a German one, also in Switzerland, but again, still really close to the border. Another one here that is technically Belgian territory that is inside the Netherlands, and then finally a Spanish town inside of France. So I guess if you zoom in close enough and just follow the borders, you can probably find weird stuff like this everywhere. Countries by government system. Now it seems like most of these places share the same as the US, presidential republics, or basically a state with a president that is the head of the government and is independent of legislature. Then we have a bunch of constitutional monarchies in yellow. I'm afraid I'm going to sound really dumb. I actually didn't realize Australia and New Zealand were constitutional monarchies as well. I mean, I knew they recognized the queen or king, but it never connected in my head that that was their government type. So these places have a head of state, which is a monarch, which is mostly or entirely ceremonial. Japan, of course, still has an emperor, and a lot of places in Europe like Spain, the Netherlands, Sweden. Did the Danish king somehow banish Greenland to the Shadow Realm? We also have the one-party states, which is like China, North Korea, Vietnam, and Cuba. I actually just kind of knew that off the top of my head. Head of state is executive or ceremonial power constitutionally linked to a single political movement. I wonder what that political movement could be. And all these green countries are parliamentary republics. The head of state is a president, but the ministry is subject to parliamentary confidence. Now, there are a lot of places that share this. Didn't realize that India, Ethiopia were included. Oh man, and then there's these pink countries like Myanmar and Chad, which constitutional provisions for government have been suspended. Oh no. So are we talking like anarchy? Or even crazier are some of these gray countries like Libya and Sudan? We literally don't even know what to call it. Like just something's happening there. We don't know. And then, of course, there's still a couple absolute monarchs like Morocco, Saudi Arabia. Oh, Bhutan is also included. I want to know how some of these small city-states work in Europe, like the Vatican. Is the Pope like the absolute monarch there too? Latin American countries are approaching full literacy. So the top line is the US, for reference, literacy rate above the age of 14, pretty much at 100% for us. Then there's Argentina, who started the 20th century at like 51%, and they've been making their way up all the way to pretty much 100% now too. Same goes for a lot of these places like Brazil, Colombia, and Mexico. They're all above 90%, and they're looking like they're gonna get to 100 pretty soon. These growth rates as of the last 120 years are insane. Mexico started at less than 25% in the 1900s. I actually did not realize that in the 1900s, the US was at 90% literacy rate, which explains why our growth rate has been really low. I feel like I'm on the edge between literate and illiterate sometimes. Fortunately, there still needs to be a lot of work done in Africa. Some of these places with over 60% of people illiterate. Nigeria is at 40% illiterate, which is better than a lot of the other places. But there are also spots in Asia as well as Papua New Guinea, even a lot of areas in Europe that are only technically at 95%. Oh, and Haiti in Latin America has some catching up to do. How do you pronounce Mary? I guess that gives away how I pronounce it. The states in red all pronounce these names as the exact same. Mary, Mary, Mary. This is a hard chart to read because even the legend I can't understand. Mary and Mary are the same. Mary is different. Wait, come again. The states in green have all three of those names different. Seems like definitely a Northeast thing. A lot in New York, Long Island, New Jersey, maybe a little in Boston. Then a big old dot here in Pennsylvania where they say Mary with an A different than the other ones. There's also a strange thing happening here in southern Louisiana. This has to do with French, doesn't it? How am I supposed to find out how to pronounce this, though? Oh, here we go.
Mary, Mary, Mary.
Now notice Miss Gewaltney pronounces those three words differently. They are not all the same. Again, please.
So this has been a problem.
Mary, Mary, Mary.
Since
Mary,
1958.
Mary, Mary. Now, Miss Witness, please.
Mary, Mary, Mary.
Mary, Mary, Mary.
Okay, so
all three the same. Mr. Kepke.
Mary, Mary, Mary.
Mary, Mary, Mary. All three different.
Mary, Mary.
All three the same. Mr. Kepke.
Mary, Mary, Mary.
Mary, Mary, Mary. I just feel like the way his inflection is that the only thing that changes? Okay, there's an A in there. Mary, Mary. You can't even tell with me. This stupid accent. It's so similar, I can barely even tell the difference. Apple is now worth more than Alphabet, Amazon, and Meta put together. And I'm going to assume this mainly happened because the Zuck here has really kind of fallen off. I mean, all these places have kind of fallen off, and then Apple, I feel like, has stayed the same. The stock has kind of just flattened. Maybe it's even gone a little bit up. Their market capitalization reached 2.3 trillion, whereas the other three companies combined is only 2.306 trillion. Alphabet, or Google, is in second place, but not too far ahead of Amazon. I actually thought Amazon would be a little bit closer though. And yeah, Meta's in trouble. And I have Meta stock too. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm hoping for a home run somehow. Please. Please. Guess I should just pull out of everything and put it all in Apple. Back in September of 2021, it was at an all-time high. And as of about 1 year, it has dropped to unbelievably low numbers. You have to go all the way back to 2015 to get a similar number to where it is now. And I just don't know about this whole metaverse thing. Like, just doesn't seem like it's gonna work. Meta reportedly set to begin layoffs this week after 70% fall in share prices. Speaking of which, did Twitter have too many employees? Twitter's revenue per employee metric has always been significantly lower than Meta and Google, and it dropped below Snapchat and Pinterest? When Pinterest is beating you, that's when you know you got a problem. Moms all over the world just keeping that thing alive somehow. I think it's not just moms, but I feel like you're internally a mom. I heard Pinterest has their own, like, TikTok thing version going on, short videos. So annual revenue per employee, Meta's actually doing still pretty good for now. Oh, maybe this is because it's as of 2021. The fact that Snapchat is still going is like a miracle to me. I keep hearing that all of these companies are gonna do like massive layoffs. Maybe Twitter was just the start of it. Guess we'll see what happens after everyone has to pay $8 to get that check mark on Twitter. The travel times from London back in the year 1914, or basically right before World War I. So it would take less than 5 days to get almost anywhere in Europe. If you want to go from London to like Moscow, it'd probably take about 5 days. I'm going to assume if you wanted to go to France, maybe like 1. It's crazy because 5 days is the best it gets at this time. You can fly to any of these places now in like 2 hours. Then we have this darker blue zone, which will take anywhere between 5 to 10 days. So if you wanted to go to London to the east coast of the US, like New York, seems like it'd take about 6-7 days. And that is a long time to be spending out here on a boat, because I'm sure it wasn't like a cruise ship back then. They're storing you down at the bottom, well, unless you were rich. It would take someone from London 10 to 20 days to get to Los Angeles, California, which there wasn't a whole lot to look at back in those days, so I don't know why they'd do that. Probably should have said San Francisco. That was a much more touristy spot for that state at the time. And it looks like there was absolutely no infrastructure built to get into the internal parts of Africa. It'd take you 40 days to get to Chad or the Congo, like deep in there. You can go from London to South Africa in about 20 days, but if you wanted to go to Chad, it'd take you twice as long. Boats, I guess, just much better than having to take a horse into a desert. Who would have guessed? Other spots hard to get to at that time are the barren parts of Canada, Alaska, and then of course Greenland. I don't know why anyone would want to go to this part of Greenland, but yeah, that would take you 40 days. Oh, and of course Siberian Russia, that would be very hard to get to as well. And actually, I'm now just realizing it. This is more than 40 days. This is not just 40 days. You might not ever be able to get there. Like, we don't even know. It's 40 days or forever. Spend your whole life trying to get to the Amazon rainforest. And now within the span of about 100 years, you can now get to almost any of these spots in like a day, maybe 3 days if you're going from London to like the outback in Australia. But no, there has to be like a small plane that'll take you in there. Maybe you could take a bus. Imagine spending 10 days in your life just to go to like Ohio. I've never even been to Ohio. I just, you know, gonna be trendy with the memes. Greater Austria, a proposed state in the mid-19th century in which all Habsburg-dominated areas would join in a German confederation, which, considering how Austria-Hungary turned out, I don't know if we'd see the same results just with like Germany included. When this whole area broke apart, would they have pulled down Germany with it? Like there'd be a Bavaria and I don't know what else. It would just turn into the Holy Roman Empire again. Now it's safe to say if this happened in like the 1850s, things would probably change in the 20th century. I was gonna say this was pretty much the alliance of the Central Powers in WWE1 and they still lost, but safe to say if they had like 70 years to build up, a lot of things would have happened differently. But then again, the moment this thing forms up, there's gonna be like an instant coalition with France, the UK, Russia. Everyone's gonna join in on that. I don't know what the Ottomans would be doing. Would the Ottomans still join on the Central Powers side if this thing happened? Maybe, I don't know. One thing's for sure, the moment France saw something like this, they would instantly start screaming. And big thanks to my patrons.
aPhatNarwhal.
Presented by Robert
My wife
E.
hates this
Sebi,
part.
if you hear this,
ClBlr
I love
is
you.
your
Drew's
daddy.
Argentinian grandpa.
$20 is
Yarna,
allowed.
Wild
Bring
Fang.
back
Chris
Polandball.
3773.
Danny
Evan,
ThyGamer.
GoodOldRyah.
LuxembourgLover.
DrewsPetDog.
Jakov.
Phresh Animations.
The Polish-Lithuanian
Veiotic.
Commonwealth.
Why am I doing
The
Twickenhamster.
Mexicans.
And ZaneyBoi.